Swadika, hello and welcome. You're watching ASEAN Challenge, the show to give you the latest headlines, updates, and hot topics happening around your ASEAN community in 2 languages. I'm Rosalind Tepawan.
And I'm Alisa สิทธิวงศ์ขอต้อนรับคุณผู้ชมทุกท่านเข้าสู่รายการ ASEAN Challenge ค่ะข่าวสารรอบอาเซียนเป็นภาษาอังกฤษและภาษาไทย
And for the first break into ASEAN around us, what's going on around ASEAN, of course, is none other than the Asian Games that have wrapped up in Indonesia to a very monumental success, according to various you could say heads of committees of the Olympics as well as, of course, the Asian Games. So we're going to take you to take a look at what's been happening in the closing ceremony and kind of backtracking a little bit to a lot of the important events that happened over the week.
That's right. So we can consider this farewell bidding of the Asian Games as a very emotional one. Now, even though they experienced a lot of rain and pour during the event itself or on the day of the closing ceremony, but they believe that it still did not chase people away and people were still very eager and excited to attend the farewell or the closing ceremony of the Asian Games, which occurred on the 2nd of September. And of course, the OCA president, Sheikh Ahmad Al-Fahad Ahmad Al-Sabah, such a very long name, of course, congratulated the host before declaring the games closed. And there were several performances that were taking place and involved during the celebrations. And as well as the OCA president, he quote, "Thank you, Jakarta. Thank you, Palembang. You did it." And that's what he said, making a heart-shaped gesture above his head with his hands. "The sky is crying because we are very sad today as we must leave your beautiful country. We are going back with a lot of memories, wonderful memories from an amazing game. We will never forget you. You will always be in our hearts."
Some very emotional moments. Sentiments still remain high, as you mentioned, all throughout the very rainy period. And a lot of energy was there to pass the torch to the next host of the Asian Games, which will happen in 2022. We'll talk more about the closing ceremony itself, but you see here the president also making a big heart sign over his head, showing how much passion there is involved in organizing and hosting these games, and what a feat it is for the Asian Games to be hosted by Jakarta. So much so that Indonesia is trying to make a bid for the 2032 Olympics because of the success they felt in the latest Asian Games. So altogether, lots of monumental events, not only the success of the competitions themselves, but also other events such as the opening ceremony where a unified Korean team marched under a common flag, demonstrating how sports is one powerful kind of activity to forge camaraderie between, say, frenemies.
That's right. So another situation, or we can say event that happened during the closing ceremony was also Alibaba founder Jack Ma and Olympic champion swimmer Sun Yang extended an invitation on behalf of the organizers for the next Asian Games to occur, as we know that the next one will be held in China, in Hangzhou to be exact, and in 4 years' time. So therefore, we can see on stage here several countries joining together, handing over the flag in order to pass it on to the next organizers. Now, in terms of some of the statistics that we accomplished, we can say that from this Asian Games, China, of course, topped the medal table with 132 gold medals, with Japan coming in second with 75, and with the host Indonesia, who received 31 golds to finish fourth.
So quite amazing games indeed, with a host not really falling that far behind. So a lot of success for Indonesia this period if they are also successful in their bid for the 2032 Olympics. That would also make Indonesia the 4th Asian country to do so after Japan, China, and South Korea. It seems like 4 may be a lucky number for Indonesia, finishing in 4th and perhaps possibly becoming the 4th Asian country to host the Summer Olympics. But with that said, though, this follows behind other Asian countries, such as hosting the Summer Olympics, such as Japan, China, and South Korea. Tokyo will be hosting the next Summer Olympics in 2020, while Paris will hold the 2024 Games, whereas Los Angeles has confirmed to be the host of the 2028 Games. So you can expect lots of preparation until then.
In terms of the overall success of the event for this time around, according to Sheikh Ahmad, he said that the Asian cities have hosted many major international events. We are very proud to say that Jakarta has the capability of hosting such major events, and the 18th Asian Games in Jakarta and Palembang, the Energy of Asia, has been a historical success.
Indeed, historical moment. So many athletes, 11,000 altogether from 45 countries. To be able to manage all of that is definitely not an easy feat. So congratulations to all the athletes and the countries and Indonesia.
ใช่แล้วค่ะมาดูกันในส่วนของ ASEAN Around Us นะคะในสัปดาห์นี้เราจะพาคุณผู้ชมไปดูรายละเอียดต่างๆของ Asian Games ที่เพิ่งผ่านพ้นไปนะคะในช่วงของพิธีปิดนั่นเองค่ะก็ได้ผ่านไปอย่างสวยงามอย่างที่เราเห็นกันในขณะนี้นะคะก็ได้มีการจัดพิธีปิดอย่างยิ่งใหญ่นะคะที่สนามเกโลราบังกาลาโนในกรุงจาการ์ตานั่นเองค่ะสำหรับพิธีปิดนะคะทางเจ้าภาพได้จัดการแสดงและความบันเทิงต่างๆซึ่งบรรยากาศก็เป็นไปด้วยความสนุกสนานก่อนที่นักกีฬาจาก 44 ประเทศจะเดินพาเหรดกันสู่เข้าไปในสนามจากนั้นซิกอามัดอัลฟาฮัดอาซาบานนะคะประธานสภาโอลิมปิกแห่งเอเชียก็ได้กล่าวปิดการแข่งขันอย่างเป็นทางการพร้อมอัญเชิญธง OCA ลงจากยอดเสาแล้วก็นำธงไปส่งมอบให้กับตัวแทนของสหรัฐประชาชนจีนเพื่อเป็นเจ้าภาพการจัดการแข่งขันเอเชียนเกมส์ครั้งต่อไปในปี 2032 ที่เมืองฮางโจวค่ะขออภัยค่ะ22นะคะ
ค่ะทางประธานชิคอามัดนะคะก็หลังจากได้กล่าวการปิดงานนะคะก็จะทำสัญลักษณ์หัวใจด้วยนะคะบนหัวแสดงถึงความนับถือและก็ความภูมิใจในการจัดที่แบบราบรื่นแล้วก็ประสบความสำเร็จอย่างสูงสำหรับประเทศอินโดนีเซียค่ะ
ค่ะถ้าพูดถึงในการสรุปเหรียญรางวัลที่ได้รับในเอเชียนเกมส์ในครั้งนี้นะคะตำแหน่งเจ้าเหรียญทองเป็นของจีนนั่นเองค่ะได้ไป132เหรียญทองนับเป็นการคว้าเจ้าเหรียญทองเป็นสมัยที่10ติดต่อกันนะคะในส่วนอันดับที่2ก็ได้แก่ญี่ปุ่นนั่นเองคว้าไปได้75เหรียญส่วนเจ้าภาพของเราอินโดนีเซียนะคะก็ได้ไป31เหรียญทองก็เป็นอันดับที่4ค่ะ
ใช่ค่ะก็ขอแสดงความยินดีให้กับนักกีฬาทุกท่านนะคะทีนี้เราก็จะจับตาดูต่อไปนะคะว่าในอนาคตเนี่ยทางจาการ์ตาหรือว่าอินโดนีเซียจะมีการจัดสรรอะไรต่อไปค่ะเพราะว่าจากความสำเร็จของงานครั้งนี้นะคะก็จะมีการเขาอยากจะเป็นเจ้าภาพโอลิมปิกสำหรับปี 2032 ค่ะแล้วก็จะคอยจับตาดูว่าจะได้ตำแหน่งนั้นหรือไม่
Let's take a look at some of the highlights or the events that happened during the closing ceremony. Of course, one of the highlights we can say was the dancing screens at the Asian Games closing ceremonies.
Right.
Now, the choreographer or the artist behind it has come out to explain and talk about this magnificent feat and the inspiration behind it. So our director and chief choreographer of the performance, they titled Hangzhou Time for the closing ceremony of the 2018 Asian Games, has explained the creative ideas for using 5 huge, what they call dancing screens on stage. And what happened was there were 5 huge mechanical dance screens, and it was specifically designed to, we can say, as intelligent dancers, and they participated in the performance along with 69 other performers on the stage. The 5 screens, 13 meters high and 2.3 meters wide, could move freely with 54 axes.
Very creative kind of choreography altogether with some more innovative designs coupled and you could say meshed together with live performances just to show kind of a smooth transition perhaps to the new host of the Asian Games for years to come. But altogether, the director here, the choreographer, had described these events of 10 screens merging like 5 arms. He was describing it with looking almost like a tree suddenly growing from the earth. And he talked about how various locations in Hangzhou kind of represent that because it's a very natural, very beautiful location. And all of the dancers just pooling together, mirroring the moon, for example, and many other typical Chinese cultural symbols also appeared as well.
ใช่แล้วค่ะมาดูกันในส่วนของอีกด้านของการปิดนะคะพิธีปิดการแข่งขัน Asian Games นะคะก็คือการแสดงของ Hangzhou Times นั่นเองนะคะซึ่งผู้ที่ออกแบบการแสดงในครั้งนี้เขาก็ได้ออกมาเล่าถึงวิธีการคิดค้นหรือแรงบันดาลใจในการคิดการแข่งขันขออภัยค่ะการตกแต่งการทำพิธีปิดในครั้งนี้ซึ่งผู้อำนวยการฝ่ายศิลป์นะคะและหัวหน้านักออกแบบท่าเต้นของงาน Hangzhou Times นั่นเองในพิธีปิดการแข่งขัน Asian Games 2018 ได้อธิบายความคิดสร้างสรรค์ของพวกเขาเกี่ยวกับการใช้ หน้าจอการเต้นรำขนาดใหญ่5แบบในการแสดงนั่นเองนะเขาก็จะมีนักแสดงที่ออกมาแสดงบนเวทีแล้วก็ประกอบไปด้วยก็จะเป็นหน้าจอที่สามารถขับเคลื่อนแล้วก็เต้นไปได้ในตัว
ใช่ค่ะอย่างที่เห็นเมื่อกี้นะคะการแสดงก็จะเป็นการเต้นรำที่จะเน้นธรรมชาตินะคะอย่างที่เราเห็นนักเต้นรำก็เข้าบนเวทีนะคะโดยนั่งบนดอกบัวคล้ายๆดอกบัวนะคะแล้วก็นักเต้นรำทุกคนก็จะเหมือนกับเป็นหนึ่งเดียวกันกับธรรมชาติ
ก็เป็นอีกหนึ่งสีสันของ Asian Games ที่ผ่านมาหรือในพิธีปิดนะคะ
ใช่ค่ะ
But taking a look at some of the awards that have been won and some of the highlights in terms of that, two twins in the competition for swimming received medals, and of course this was quite a bit of a nice thing to see for these Chinese twin sisters. They stood at the top of the podium with the Asian Games gold medal around their necks after the finals women's duet in synchronized swimming on Tuesday on August 28th as well. Their names, we call them the Jiang sisters. Their names are Ting Ting, excuse me, and Wen, and they won this event for the third time, actually dominating both technical routine and free routine to claim their sixth gold over 3 editions of the games.
Definitely lots of wins for the duos, winning a lot of gold medals and also representing their country as well. So congratulations to the winners right there, the twins, starting up to receive their medals. Meanwhile, in other sports like archery, Kim Woo-jin won all the Korean contests 6-4 for his third Asian Games here. But he got his third gold, but he refused to celebrate because his win comes at another person's expense. He refused to celebrate his victory over his competition, Lee Woo-seok, because what that means is if he wins, his opponent has to go back to service for the army because Korean law states that various able-bodied men must report to national service for 21 months here before their 28th birthday. Well, the exemption is applied to athletes offered to all Olympic medalists or also Asian Games champions. So his opponent has to go back to the military, which otherwise would have gained him early discharge from the army. So he received his gold medal here. Kim won with a very low profile as well. But still, regardless of the outcome, on the other hand, South Korea's team pursuit side, they were all favorites going into the event here, crashing out the medal contention, while China came out to prevail, taking the gold after beating Hong Kong, China. So backtracking a little bit, we'll see some footage here of the duo twins winning for their synchronized swimming performances
ค่ะอย่างที่เราเห็นกันในจอขนาดนี้นะคะนี่คือพี่น้องฝาแฝดของจีนนั่นเองค่ะซึ่งค่อนข้างที่จะโดดเด่นในการแข่งขันว่ายน้ำรอบชิงเอเชียนเกมส์นะคะสองพี่น้องฝาแฝดจีนเนี่ยค่ะมีนามว่าเจียงทิงแล้วก็เวนนั่นเองนะคะก็ได้รับรางวัลเป็นครั้งที่3นะคะก็ถือว่าเป็นการแข่งขันว่ายน้ำแบบคู่นะคะแล้วก็มีลีลาการเต้นด้วยในส่วนของการยิงธนูค่ะคิมวูจีนจากประเทศเกาหลีใต้นั่นเองนะคะก็ชนะการประกวดทั้งหมด6-4นะคะเป็นครั้งที่3ที่ได้รับเหรียญทองนะคะแต่ว่าปฏิเสธที่จะเฉลิมฉลองชัยชนะเพราะว่าก็การที่เขาได้ชนะเนี่ยหมายความว่าลีวูซุกนะคะผู้ที่เป็นผู้แข่งขันของเขาเนี่ยค่ะก็ต้องไปรับทหารแทนนะคะเพราะว่ากฎหมายของเกาหลีเนี่ยระบุว่าทุกคนเนี่ยค่ะต้องรายงานตัวรับใช้ชาติเป็นเวลา21เดือนก่อนวัยครบ28ปีของเขานะคะแต่ว่าจะยกเว้นแก่ผู้ชนะเลิศในเหรียญทองโอลิมปิกหรือว่าแชมป์เอเชียนเกมส์ทั้งหมดนะคะเพราะฉะนั้นเนี่ยการที่คิมวูจินเนี่ยชนะไปเนี่ยก็แปลว่าลีวูซุกก็จะต้องเข้าไปรับหน้าที่เป็นทหารแทนนะคะ
ใช่ค่ะเวลาการแข่งขันนะคะก็ต้องมีทั้งผู้ชนะแล้วก็ผู้แพ้แต่ในเวลาเดียวกันทุกประเทศก็จับมือเป็นหนึ่งเดียวกันนะคะในการแข่งขันเอเชียนเกมคราวนี้ดูมีหลายกีฬามากๆเลยค่ะที่เรายังไม่ได้จับตาดูแต่ว่า we'll keep you posted on more developments coming from updated news on the Asian Games and preparations for the next hosts. So more in sports later on. But with that, time for a short break. When we come back, more coming up in ASEAN hot issues. Stay with us.
เดี๋ยวกลับมาอีกสักครู่ค่ะ
Welcome back to the program Into ASEAN Hot Issues. We talk about the latest developments coming from Myanmar with the case of the two journalists being jailed, making the headlines this entire week so far. Myanmar judges on Monday, September 3rd, had found two Reuters journalists guilty of breaching the law that states secrets and jailed them for 7 years as a result of them doing their work.
That's right. So the Yangon Northern District Judge Yi Lewin said Walone, age 32, and Kyo So-u, age 28, breached the Colonial Era Official Secrets Act when they had collected and obtained documents, which were confidential documents, and had reported the Rohingya situation in Rakhine State.
Right. Apparently, both journalists have been detained for quite some months now, since December 12th here. So that particular time that they've spent being detained would be taken into account of their sentence as well. The defense can also appeal the decision to a regional court and then later the Supreme Court. But we can see now that it's going to be a bit tough of a challenge for them to actually carry out those appeals with the Myanmar court not on their side so far. But at the same time, this case has had a lot of developments in terms of controversy as well, which we will discuss in just a bit. But the verdict comes amid mounting pressure as well on the government of Nobel laureate Aung San Suu Kyi over a security crackdown that was sparked by attacks on Rohingya Muslim insurgents on security forces in Rakhine State in West Myanmar back in August 2017. That led to a huge mass exodus of 700,000 stateless Muslims, Rohingya Muslims, fleeing into Bangladesh since then, with the UN and the EU closely monitoring the situation.
That's right. So the two reporters, as you mentioned, were investigating the situation going on in there, and press freedom advocates of the United Nations and European Union countries, including the United States, Canada, and Australia, had called for the journalists' acquittal. So they said that today is a sad day for Myanmar, Reuters journalists Walone and Kyo So-u, and the press everywhere. So this was said by Reuters editor-in-chief Stephen J. Adler in a statement. The reporters had been told the court, two police officials handed them papers at a restaurant in the city of Yangon moments before the officers arrested them. One police witness testified the restaurant meeting was a setup to entrap the journalists to block or punish them for reporting of a mass killing of Rohingya Muslims in Rakhine. And more than 80 people, including senior diplomats, were packed into the court on Monday.
So definitely investigations will continue into investigating this possible setup of the two journalists.
ค่ะมาดูกันในส่วนข่าวที่เมียนมากันบ้างนะคะก็เป็นข่าวที่ค่อนข้างที่จะฮอตในขณะนี้นะคะด้านศาลแขวงเหนือขออภัยค่ะของเมืองย่างกุ้งนะคะก็มีคำพิพากษาให้ผู้สื่อข่าวชาวเมียนมา2 คนของสำนักงานข่าวรอยเตอร์กับรับโทษจำคุกเป็นเวลา7 ปีจากความผิดในคดีครอบครองและเผยแพร่เอกสารลับเกี่ยวกับรัฐยะไข่นั่นเองนะคะในด้านของผู้พิพากษานะคะก็ได้ระบุว่า2 คนนี้ค่ะมีความผิดจริงฐานละเมิดมาตรา 3.1 ของกฎหมายความลับทางราชการฉบับปี 2466 นะคะจากการที่จำเลยทั้ง2 คนเนี่ยค่ะก็มีนามว่าโล่นอายุ32 ปีนะคะแล้วก็จ่อโซโอนะคะอายุ28 ปีเนี่ยก็ได้ครอบครองเอกสารลับด้านความมั่นคงเกี่ยวกับรัฐยะไข่แล้วก็ได้เผยแพร่ข้อมูลนะคะให้กับสำนักข่าวต่างประเทศอีกหลายแห่ง
ว่าเป็นข่าวร้ายนะคะสำหรับทั้งคนผู้สื่อข่าวนักข่าวเมียนมานะคะเอเชียแล้วก็โดยเฉพาะครอบครัวของทั้ง2 คนเช่นกันค่ะที่มีทั้งลูกทั้งภรรยารออยู่นะคะแล้วก็ก่อนอื่นนี่ก็จะมีการสืบสวนเพิ่มเติมว่าจริงๆแล้วมีอะไรเพิ่มเติมหรือเปล่า So we'll keep you posted on that development. Some experts have come out to question whether or not this setup was actually linked to the military government or Aung San Suu Kyi's government as well, to which many had expected more freedom of the press since her administration.
That's right. But speaking of Reuters and the editor-in-chief, of course, and calling it a setup, actually, the Reuters president and editor-in-chief, Stephen Adler, said that the trial of the two Reuters journalists who were covering violence against Rohingya Muslims in Myanmar and who were sentenced to 7 years in jail for breaching state secrets was clearly a setup. So we have a bit of a soundbite for you to listen to what Stephen Adler has to say.
It's clear that it was unfair. It's clear that it was a setup. You had one police captain testifying that they intentionally set them up, that they provided them documents so that they could arrest them, and he testified to that in open court. That should have ended the case then and there. You had a police witness who testified that he had notes surrounding the arrest, but he had burnt them, so he didn't have them in court. You had another government witness who had written on his hand what he was supposed to say, so that he wouldn't forget what he was supposed to say. Not only was the weight of the evidence in favor of their innocence, all of the evidence was in favor of their innocence, and yet every step of the way they were charged, they were convicted, and now they've been sentenced. So clearly due process, rule of law were not at play here. I think it sends a bad message. Myanmar has been on a path towards democratization. There's a lot has been said and written about Myanmar moving towards democracy. Our view is that a free press is absolutely essential to democracy, and we see a lot of regimes around the world not respecting a free press, and this is just another thing that feeds into the notion that the press does not have to be able to operate freely, and we fundamentally believe that you can't have a free and open society unless you have a free press. Well, our hope is that the government will now fix it, that they will take the steps that they are able to take and that they will release them. And that's what we very much want to happen. The trial is over. It's in many senses, it's in the hands of the government. The government has the ability to release them, and that's what we very much hope happens.
So from the sound bites we heard from Stephen Adler and others as well, it seems that this situation is clearly controversial, and there are a lot of people willing to come out and talk more about witnessing something that doesn't make quite sense, like police witnesses saying that this was possibly a setup with the documents being handed to the journalists. At the same time, this case and this latest verdict has been seen as a test of press freedom and whether or not the press will be able to clearly report the news without worrying that they will be safe and whether or not they will be able to report fearlessly. So those issues are once again brought to the table.
และค่ะในส่วนของด้านบรรณาธิการของรอยเตอร์นั่นเองนะคะนายสตีเฟนแอดเลอร์นะคะก็ได้ออกมาเผยแพร่สถานการณ์ของก็ได้มาเผยแพร่หรือแถลงการนะคะก็ได้ระบุว่าบทลงโทษต่อนายวาโลนแล้วก็นายจอโซโอนะคะถือว่าเป็นวันอันเลวร้ายของสื่อมวลชนทั่วโลกเลยไม่มีเพียงแต่เฉพาะในเมียนมาเท่านั้นนะคะแต่ว่าด้านสหประชาชาติหรือว่า UN นะคะหรือสหราชอาณาจักรแล้วก็สหภาพยุโรปหรือ EU นะคะต่างออกมาเรียกร้องให้รัฐบาลเมียนมาให้ยกฟ้องผู้สื่อข่าวของทั้งสองมาตลอดเลยค่ะก็เขาคิดว่าสิ่งที่เกิดขึ้นเนี่ยมันเป็นเซตอัพหรือว่าเขาได้สร้างขึ้นมาให้เกิดขึ้นแบบนี้ค่ะสร้างสถานการณ์เราก็จะคอยจับตาดูต่อไปแต่ว่า reactions coming from various sectors, third parties like the UN and EU have been expected, predictable and severe as well. One human rights chief, Bachelet, has come out to urge Myanmar to free the reporters altogether. A UN High Commissioner for Human Rights, Michelle Bachelet, had called on Myanmar to actually free the two journalists that have been jailed for 7 years for reporting the situation of the Rohingya crisis, especially villages that had been massacred. They interviewed witnesses, they talked to various people involved as well as took photos, which also kind of unnerved a lot of officials as well, it seems. But in an interview with Reuters on Monday earlier on, Bachelet said the journalist's conviction was actually, in her own words, a travesty of justice, especially after they were trying to uncover the truth that seemed to be really hidden quite well. But she said earlier that this decision clearly breached international standards, and it sends a message to all journalists in Myanmar that they cannot operate fearlessly. Rather, they have to self-censor or risk prosecution, to which we saw happen to these two journalists. ค่ะมาดูกันในอีกส่วนในอีกความคิดเห็นหนึ่งนะคะทางด้านคณะกรรมาธิการสิทธิมนุษยชนระดับสูงของสหประชาชาติค่ะมิเชล แบชเลตนะคะก็เรียกร้องให้พม่าปลดปล่อยนักข่าวรอยเตอร์2 คนที่ถูกคุมขังในวันจันทร์ที่3 กันยายนที่ผ่านมาจากการรายงานสถานการณ์โรฮิงญารวมทั้งนักข่าวอื่นๆที่ถูกคุมขังเพื่อสิทธิในเสรีภาพในการแสดงออกในการให้สัมภาษณ์กับรอยเตอร์ในบ่ายวันจันทร์ที่ผ่านมา แบชเลตก็ได้กล่าวว่าความเชื่อมั่นของนักข่าวคือการล้อเลียนแบบมีความยุติธรรมค่ะ
So we'll keep you posted on those developments as efforts to appeal continue. Meanwhile, still in Myanmar, we take you to take a look at some other situations unraveling around the Myanmar dam, where 85 villages have been flooded as a result of, and people also driven from their homes as a result of the dam, you could say, breaking altogether. So it was a disaster for these villagers as the area flooded over, unleashing waters that blocked major highways and forced more than 83,000 people altogether to flee from their homes. According to various officials, lots of mitigation efforts are being made by officials to try to mitigate the situation, but not a lot of, you could say, a lot of damages have already occurred.
Officials have reported, however, that luckily there has not been any deaths occurring in the situation, of course. But however, days before the breach, authorities had given the all clear to the dam, which can hold 216,350 acre-feet of water, despite residents' concerns about overspill, and in which water is still considered flowing through the collapsed dam on Thursday after firefighters, troops, and officials launched a desperate rescue effort on Wednesday, August 29th. Now, the dam burst sent a torrent of water through villages and nearby towns of Swar and Yedashe, where 2 people were reported missing and were feared to have been washed away.
This time is quite a rainy season for many countries all around Southeast Asia and beyond, Japan as well. So this once again sends a message out to Southeast Asia to be prepared for such seasons as we enter the monsoon season.
ค่ะยังอยู่กันที่ประเทศเมียนมากันนะคะก็เกิดอุทกภัยครั้งใหญ่ในเขตพะโคนั่นเองค่ะพื้นที่ตอนกลางของประเทศพม่าหลังปริมาณน้ำล้นเขื่อนของชวานั่นเองนะคะทำให้สปิลเวย์ถล่มส่งผลกระทบกับชาวบ้านหลายพันคนน้ำจากเขื่อนยังท่วมปิดทางหลวงระหว่างนครย่างกุ้งแล้วก็นครมันทะเลนะคะก็ถือว่าเป็นเมืองสำคัญ2เมืองของพม่านอกจากนี้นะคะยังทำให้สะพานชวาเสียหายอย่างหนักเลยทีเดียวนะคะเบื้องต้นนะคะก็ไม่มีรายงานผู้เสียชีวิตแต่ว่าทางกระทรวงสวัสดิการและสังคมก็ได้ระบุตัวเลขของชาวบ้านที่ต้องอพยพไปยังศูนย์พักพิงแห่งต่างๆนะคะก็มีทั้งหมด30แห่งรวมทั้งหมด 12,600 คนนะคะหรือว่าจะนับเป็นขออภัยค่ะผู้ได้รับผลกระทบก็มีทั้งหมด 63,000 คนนะคะหรือว่ามากกว่า 14,000 ครัวเรือนนั่นเอง
ค่ะนับว่าจะเป็นความเสียหายที่หนักมากนะคะซึ่งทางเจ้าหน้าที่ก็จะพยายามแก้ไขอยู่ค่ะแต่ก็เป็นอุทาหรณ์สำคัญสำหรับชาวเอเชียนะคะแล้วก็ชาวอาเซียนเช่นกันให้ระวังโดยเฉพาะฤดูไต้ฝุ่นคราวนี้ค่ะมรสุมกำลังมา but on a different note let's head over to some lighter developments coming from Japan now and the Philippines. Japanese Navy ships have docked in the Philippines after a trip to the South China Sea, and they've been receiving lots of guests as well.
That's right. So a Japanese helicopter was carrying 2 Navy destroyer docks in the Philippines on Saturday after sailing through the South China Sea. And according to Japan's Maritime Self-Defense Force, Flotilla 4, led by carrier JS Kaga, dropped anchor at Subic Bay, a former U.S. naval base, for a 5-day goodwill visit aimed at enhancing Navy compatibility. Now, in terms of the flotilla commander, Tatsuya Fukuda has said that the fleet's deployment in Southeast Asia serves as Japan's contribution to regional security and disputes between China and the Philippines, and as well as 5 other Southeast Asian countries, continuing to well, we can say have this disputes over the resource-rich islands of the South China Sea.
It's a long trip for this flotilla because the fleet will stop by many other countries as well, whether it's Indonesia, Singapore, Sri Lanka, even India as well in its 2-month deployment around the region. So according to Philippine President Rodrigo Duterte, he's expected to visit the Japanese flotilla. Well, he has visited earlier on Saturday afternoon to forge more ties between both officials.
ค่ะมาดูกันที่ข่าวเกี่ยวกับผู้เรือพิฆาตนาวิกโยธินญี่ปุ่นนะคะซึ่งจอดเทียบเรือในฟิลิปปินส์นั่นเองค่ะผู้ให้บริการเฮลิคอปเตอร์ญี่ปุ่นและเรือพิฆาตนาวิกโยธิน2 ลำได้จอดเทียบเรือในฟิลิปปินส์เมื่อวันเสาร์ที่1 กันยายนนะคะหลังจากที่แล่นเรือผ่านทะเลจีนใต้ทางด้านผู้บัญชาการกองเรือรบนะคะทัตสึยะฟุกุดะก็ได้กล่าวว่าการใช้เรือเดินสมุทรในเอเชียตะวันออกเฉียงใต้ถือว่าเป็นความรับผิดชอบของญี่ปุ่นในการรักษาความปลอดภัยในระดับภูมิภาคเนื่องจากข้อพิพาทระหว่างจีนฟิลิปปินส์กับประเทศอื่นๆค่ะ
So there we have the ASEAN hot issues for you for this break. With that said, it's time for a short break. When we come back, more developments coming up to mark your calendars with in ASEAN Calendar. Stay tuned.
พักกันสักครู่ค่ะ
Welcome back. Up next, we have a long list of events for you to cover in ASEAN Calendar.
ค่ะในช่วงนี้ ASEAN Calendar ค่ะไปติดตามกันว่ามีอีเวนต์อะไรบ้าง The 9th of September 2018, Agong's birthday. Agong's birthday is a holiday that is oriented around the celebration of the Malaysian king's birthday. In Malaysia, the king is referred to as Yang di Pertuan Agong. Agong's birthday is celebrated in various ways throughout Malaysia. The largest and most popular celebration for the holiday occurs at Istana Negara in Kuala Lumpur. At this impressive venue, a ceremony is held to honor the Agong and various honorable Malaysian citizens. This event is often regarded as Malaysia's grandest event of the year. This ceremony is very formal, so everyone in attendance wears their best outfits. During the ceremony, various medals and ribbons are awarded to people who have performed impressive deeds throughout the year. Malaysian citizens are commonly awarded for heroism and acts of extreme kindness. The ceremony is also attended by members of the royal family, government, and diplomatic corps. During the morning of Agong's birthday, the Malaysian king gives a speech to the people of Malaysia from the throne room of his palace. During this speech, the Agong usually addresses a variety of issues, including politics, global crises, and challenges that Malaysia faces. While the topics of this address are quite serious, the Agong usually presents them in a manner that is hopeful and optimistic. The Agong's address is televised in every major city and town throughout Malaysia. It is also broadcast on radio stations throughout the nation. Most Malaysian citizens make sure that they are near a television or radio when the Agong is giving his speech. One of the most important events that occurs during Agong's birthday is the Trooping and Colour Parade in Kuala Lumpur. Trooping the Colour is a massive military parade that takes place in Merdeka Square. The event is open to the public, but only honoured citizens and members of the military can go near the parade field. During this event, every level of the Malaysian military honours the Agong. Bands, vehicles, aircraft, infantry, and officers all take part in this extravagant celebration. During the parade, the Agong is accompanied by the highest-ranking commanders of Malaysia's military forces. After the trooping of the colour ends, the Agong leads the nation in a few Islamic prayers. After the Trooping the Colour event, the Agong and honoured guests enjoy high tea and luncheon. This often occurs during the afternoon of Agong's birthday. This is a very large event that is often attended by over 3,000 people. Despite the number of people who attend, this luncheon is a very exclusive event. Agong's birthday is a Malaysian public holiday that allows Malaysian citizens to honour the Yang di Pertuan Agong. The 11th of September 2018, Awal Muharram. Islamic New Year is a public holiday observed in several countries. Awal Muharram or Hijri New Year is celebrated by Muslims as the day symbolizes two important events in the Islamic calendar. Awal means beginning in English and Muharram is the name of the first month of the Muslim calendar. The first day of Muharram is therefore the Islamic New Year's Day, and on this date, the Hijrah, the historic journey from Mecca to Medina, began. The Islamic calendar. Islam has a calendar based on the revolutions of the moon rather than the sun. Thus, it is only 354 days long. Islamic New Year is celebrated on the first day of Muharram, the first Islamic month. Islamic New Year. This day is a public holiday in most Islamic countries, and the date for the New Year in each country for 2018, along with the name of the day, is different in each country. Islamic New Year represents the starting point of the Muslim era as it coincides with the Hijrah, the Prophet's journey from Mecca to Medina on the 1st of Muharram in 622 CE. Prophet Muhammad decided to leave Mecca as life was becoming intolerable in Mecca, and he found out about an elaborate plan to kill him. Consequently, the Prophet chose to migrate to a town known as Yathrib, some 320 kilometers north of Mecca. Yathrib is known today as Medina in modern-day Saudi Arabia, which translates to the city. Hijrah gave freedom from suffering for the Muslims in Mecca. When the Prophet emigrated to Medina, Muslims there were indirectly saved from further persecution by the Meccan pagans. After the Hijrah, it was then declared by the Prophet in the Constitution of Medina, or the world's first written constitution, that Muslims are a universal brotherhood with a unique identity in faith and ideology. Ammar ibn al-Khattab, a close companion of Prophet Muhammad, and the second caliph, subsequently adopted Hijrah as a reference point for the Islamic calendar, either in 638 CE or 639 CE. The customs of Awal Muharram vary from country to country, though they generally involve attending various religious activities, spiritual singing, and religious meetings. The traditions and customs for Muharram also vary between Shia and Sunni Muslims. For both, the marking of the beginning of the new year is usually quiet. Unlike the New Year celebrations associated with other calendars, it is time for Muslims to reflect on the passing of time and their own mortality. To mark Muharram, Muslims will recite Quranic verses and hold special prayers and sermons at public halls and mosques. A new year itself is known to Muslims as Mal Hijrah. Muharram is the second most holy month of the Islamic calendar after Ramadan. On the 10th of Muharram, many Muslims mark Ashura, which commemorates the martyrdom of Hussein ibn Ali, the grandson of the Islamic prophet Muhammad.
World Ozone Day. International Day for the Preservation of Ozone Layer is an annual observance. It's celebrated on the 16th of September every year to spread awareness and bring attention to the depletion of the ozone layer. This day is celebrated by organizing seminars, speeches, and national as well as international exhibitions worldwide. In schools, the annual Science Day is also organized, and a lot of awareness is created by the means of media as well. This day plays a very crucial role as it acts as a platform to discuss with friends, family, and acquaintances in terms of contributing their share towards the well-being of our planet Earth. Various campaigns are also launched that seek the recognition of masses, and through this awareness, it's spread at a large scale. The day emphasizes the international efforts to limit production and release of harmful gases. Ozone layer is a layer of ozone molecules, which is found particularly in the stratosphere layer of the atmosphere, ranging between 20 to 40 kilometers. The ozone layer is formed in the atmosphere when the ultraviolet rays from the sun break a single oxygen atom. The oxygen atom then merges with oxygen and thus forms the final ozone molecule. The problem that causes the depletion of this layer occurs when the harmful sun radiations, after sticking the Earth's surface, becomes unable to leave the atmosphere. Most scientists agree that without the ozone layer, life on Earth will cease to exist. Water and land life would suffer, as without the protection from the ozone, people, the sun, plant life, and animals will be destroyed. Even the underwater life will be destroyed with ozone depletion. The depletion disturbs the equilibrium. There are more summers than winters. The winters also arrive irregularly, and the icebergs start melting. Moreover, the depletion of this layer is a health and nature hazard. History of International Day for the Preservation of the Ozone Layer, or World Ozone Day. Since the 16th of December 1994, is annually celebrated as International Day for the Preservation of the Ozone Layer with a lot of enthusiasm in all the countries. This day was designated as the same by a declaration which was made by the United Nations. It was done to commemorate the signing of the Montreal Convention against the depletion of the ozone layer in the year 2000 on December 19th. The Montreal Convention is an international treaty to safeguard the ozone layer by phasing out harmful substances and gases around the world. The participation in the International Day to protect ozone layers has always seen a huge and massive rise since 1995, which was the first year when this day was celebrated by people worldwide. Why is International Day for the Preservation of Ozone Layers celebrated? The day is celebrated not just to commemorate the date on which the Montreal Convention was signed, but mainly to create awareness about how fast the ozone layer is being depleted. The chief aim to observe this day as an international occasion is to generate a sense of awareness about the ozone, how it's formed, and what the methods to stop its depletion are. On this day, through the medium of schools, colleges, organizations, and media, people connect to one another to share their ideas on how the menace that's destructing the earth can be controlled. It educates the masses about the importance of environment and the significant means to protect it. Malaysia Day. Malaysia Day is a holiday that's celebrated on September 16th each year, oriented around the founding of the Malaysian Federation. In the Malay language, Malaysia Day is known as Hari Malaysia. Due to the overall themes of Malaysia Day, the holiday is often celebrated by many patriotic Malaysians. The history. To fully understand the importance of Malaysia Day to Malaysian citizens, you must know about the history of the Malay Peninsula. While many important events can be traced to before the 9th century CE, the most relevant situations occurred as early as the 19th century. The British Empire expands to Southeast Asia. During the 19th century, Great Britain used its colonization of smaller nations to increase its economic and diplomatic strength. Eventually, the British Empire expanded to Southeast Asia. On the Malay Peninsula, British companies exploited local labor forces and resources. In most cases, the local Malay economy did not benefit from the fruits of this labor. The British empires continued to play a major role in the governments and economies of Southeast Asian nations until the Japanese military entered the region prior to World War II. Japan expands its sphere of influence. To combat the growing influence of the Western empires in Asia, Japan expanded its own empire throughout the East and Southeast Asia. Imperial Japan colonized many nations, including China, Burma, Indonesia, North Borneo, and Malaya. With most of the Malay Peninsula under Japanese control, the influence of the British Empire in Southeast Asia was greatly limited. During the period of Japanese control, the indigenous populations of the Malay Peninsula clashed with Japanese military forces and government officials. While most people did not openly defy the occupying forces, many groups in Singapore, Malaya, and North Borneo adopted nationalistic ideologies. Eventually, a communist group led an armed resistance against the occupying forces. This required a heavy-handed military response to maintain stability across the Malay Peninsula. The Federation of Malaya forms. To maintain peace and stability in Southeast Asia, Malaya was permitted to form its own nations. With permission from Great Britain and the United Nations, Malaya became the Federation of Malaya in 1957. The Federation of Malaya was a sovereign nation with its own government. This emboldened other nations in Southeast Asia to earn their independence. In 1963, the Federation of Malaysia was formed. The original federation consisted of Singapore, Malay, Sarawak, and North Borneo. The Declaration of Malaysia's foundation was signed on September 16, 1963. Singapore left the federation in 1965. Malaysia Day becomes a public holiday. To celebrate Malaysia's sovereignty, Malaysia Day became an official public holiday in 2010. This holiday gives Malaysians a chance to learn about their nation's history while enjoying festivities with their friends and family members. Various celebrations take place across Kuala Lumpur and other areas of Malaysia during Malaysia Day. Political addresses. Each year, prominent politicians and public figures address the Malaysian people on Malaysia Day. Common topics include politics, social issues, and Malaysian unity. These addresses are often televised. Protests. Although many Malaysians use Malaysia Day as an opportunity to celebrate their patriotism, some people use the holiday to criticize the Malaysian government. There are many social and political issues that have developed because of Malaysia's diverse background, so minority groups often join large protests. Food festivals. While diversity in Malaysia causes a bit of unrest, it also makes sure people are able to enjoy extravagant food and music fests. Since Malaysia consists of people from various Southeast Asian cultures, there's a wide range of food options for Malaysians to enjoy. These food festivals and other similar events allow Malaysian citizens to celebrate diversity of Malaysia. During Malaysia Day, flags are commonly seen on various public and private buildings. Many people also wear red clothing to celebrate the holidays. Malaysia Day is a holiday that allows Malaysians to celebrate the history and various cultures of their nation.
And those are the events to mark your calendars with. With that said, we'll take another short break.
สักครู่ค่ะ Welcome back to the program. Into ASEAN interview this week, we talk about the developments coming up in the China Belt and Road Initiative in their move to develop a new path now for the global governance reform.
ค่ะในช่วงนี้อาเซียนอินเทอร์วิวนะคะเราจะไปดูการพัฒนาหรือว่าความคืบหน้านะคะใน1แถบ1เส้นทางหรือว่าเส้นทางสายไหมของประเทศจีนนั่นเองนะคะว่าจะมีอะไรกันบ้าง China's Belt and Road Initiative, or BRI, is important for the whole world, not only because it promotes economic cooperation between China and the rest of the world, but also because it promotes the transformation of the global governance system, according to a commentary published on China Plus, the English language website of China Radio International, or CRI, on Tuesday. The commentary piece from the China Media Group, or CMG, says that since the BRI was proposed by Chinese President Xi Jinping in 2013, countries along the route have seen a significant increase in international trade volume, foreign direct investment, and employment rate. In addition to the economic boost, the BRI has also been benefiting the world by providing equal, open cooperation opportunities to other countries and helping to improve the global governance system. The text of the commentary is as follows. In September and October 2013, China's President Xi Jinping proposed the construction of the Silk Road Economic Belt and the 21st Century Maritime Silk Road Initiative during visits to Kazakhstan and Indonesia. At a symposium held in Beijing to mark the 5th anniversary of the start of the Belt and Road Initiative, President Xi said that the construction of the Belt and Road accords with the needs to reform the global governance system. He also spoke about its importance in terms of building a sense of community among nations in times of difficulty, in which rights are shared and obligations are mutually shouldered. And it has provided new ideas and solutions that are helping to drive the reform of the global governance system. The Belt and Road Initiative is significant not only because it promotes economic cooperation between China and the world, but also because it promotes the transformation of the global governance system. When it was first put forward 5 years ago, it was hard to foretell the tremendous value it could offer the world. Today, more than 100 countries and international organizations around the world actively support and participate in the construction of the Belt and Road. The accumulated volume of trade between China and the Belt and Road countries exceed $5 trillion US, linked foreign direct investment exceeds $60 billion US, and investment from China has created more than 200,000 jobs in participating countries. Martin Jacks, a professor at the University of Cambridge, said that many countries have jumped on board the initiative because they see China offering them a new kind of possibility, namely the opportunity for global governance reform through the new concept of achieving shared growth through discussion and collaboration. With the global trade disputes heating up and tariff barriers rising, economic globalization and the multilateral trading system are facing a countercurrent, and traditional governance concepts and practices have struggled to meet the needs of the changing international political and economic landscape. But more than that, our traditional approach is inadequate when it comes to addressing the big questions of how we are to solve the deficit in peace, development, and progress in human society. The philosophy underlying the Belt and Road Initiative contains the essence of how we can work towards addressing these big questions. A fundamental of modern global governance is the value of equality, which is achieved through collaboration and negotiation. A vast number of developing countries have strong demands for accelerating industrialization and urbanization and achieving economic independence and national rejuvenation. But Western countries have dominated the formulation of the rules of international governance through institutions such as the International Monetary Fund and the World Bank. The result is that it is difficult for many developing countries to obtain sufficient developmental support. By launching the Belt and Road Initiative and establishing the Asian Infrastructure Investment Bank and the Silk Road Fund, China hopes to spur development in the participating countries in a way that allows them to enjoy equal say and a sense of self-determination by decentralizing global governance and breaking the world's monopoly on power. Over the past 5 years, the Belt and Road Initiative has proved itself through practice to be a wide and open community of nations. President Xi has repeatedly stressed it is not a closed members club or a Chinese club. It has achieved policy integration with the Eurasian Economic Union proposed by Russia, the Master Plan on ASEAN Connectivity, Britain's Northern Powerhouse, proposal to boost economic growth in the north of England, Saudi Arabia's Vision 2030, and the European Union's Infrastructure Investment Plan. The major international cooperation projects such as the port of Peros in Greece, the China-Myanmar oil and gas pipeline, and the China-Belarus Industrial Park not only bring tangible benefits to China and the countries directly involved, but also to the countries and people further afield along the Belt and Road. As President Xi Jinping has made clear, the Belt and Road started in China, but its opportunities and achievements belong to the world. In his recent speech, Xi Jinping particularly emphasized that it is necessary to make sure that the Belt and Road Initiative will go deeper and more solid, and pay attention to the implementations of livelihood projects that offer timely help, meet urgent needs, and benefit local people. The purpose is to maximize the benefits of countries along the route. This is obviously a complete abandonment of zero-sum game thinking. In the past 5 years, the construction of the Belt and Road Initiative promoted global economic cooperation, but more than that, it has seen the start of the process of improvement of the global governance system. As long as the Belt and Road Initiative continues to deliver high-quality projects with tangible value, and that all of the participants continue to work together in the spirit achieving shared growth through discussion and collaboration, it will continue to inject vitality into the project of improving the global governance system.
And those were the highlights of new developments coming from the China Belt and Road Initiative. And that wraps up ASEAN Challenge this week. Thanks for joining us. We'll see you again very soon next week. For now, สวัสดีค่ะ
สวัสดีค่ะ